Hi everyone. Um, Today we're going to be talking about a type of question common on the SAT. It's called the focus question. The focus question, that's what it's called. Um, you probably have seen it even if you don't know what the name is. It has typically has this structure right here. They either ask you, they say to you the writer is considering deleting something that is underlined, or sometimes they would ask you the writer is considering adding something that's given to you, okay? But whether it's adding or deleting, it's always the same structure. You have two options that say it should go in, and you have two options that say it should come out. Okay, so today we're going to try to think about what's the structure of this question and how can we use that structure to our advantage anytime we see a question like this. Now, one thing that's very helpful to us is the name of the question, focus. What that tells us is that every question of this kind is about one thing. What focuses the paragraph? Now, I keep on using this word focus, focus. I should explain it in a simpler way. Focus essentially means what makes it clear what the paragraph is about. So the correct answer to a question like this would be the option that helps you to get a better understanding of the one thing that the paragraph is about. So quite often on the SAT, each paragraph is about one and only one thing. You can sum up what it is about in one sentence or usually called a topic sentence. The right option would be whichever one helps you to understand better the one thing that the paragraph is about. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is right here, the art. Okay, well, let's read the question first. The writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. Should the sentence be kept or deleted? Now, before we go on to read the options, let's quickly read this excerpt. The article published by Forbes magazine explains that co-working spaces are designated locations that, for a fee, individuals can use to conduct their work. The spaces are usually stocked with standard office equipment, such as photocopiers, printers, and fax machines. In these locations, however, the spaces often include small meeting areas and larger rooms for hosting presentations. The cost of launching a new co-working business in the United States is estimated to be approximately 58,000. Now, if I asked you, well, what is the one thing that this paragraph is about? You probably say it's about co-working spaces or the description of co-working locations. So this paragraph is essentially trying to help us understand a little bit more about co-working locations. And we can check. We don't need to make it up. We can check. It talks about this article and it says it explains what co-working spaces are. Okay. Then it tells us some more. It gives us some more details. It says the spaces are usually stocked with this, and so on. Okay. Then it tells us some more again. It says in these locations, the spaces often include small meeting areas. So it's a description of co-working areas, essentially. It's a description of co-working areas. That's what the paragraph is about. Now, whatever answer we choose, whether it's A, B, C, or D, it has to be one that helps further the description of co-working spaces. It has to contribute to the focus of the paragraph. To illustrate the task before us, let's take a look at this right here. So this is essentially what the question is asking us, right? It's saying to us this. This is the first sentence, and this can help you think about this more clearly. It's saying to you, this is the first sentence, this is the second sentence, this is the third sentence, and it's saying to you, well, should this sentence come in between them? All right? That's essentially what this paragraph is about, or this question is about, rather. Okay, so let's go back and think through the options. The first one says it should be kept because it provides a detail that supports the main topic of the paragraph. Now, with this question and with almost every other question on the SAT, you have to always, of course, look for evidence. This is what I mean when I say look for evidence. Anytime an option makes a claim, you read carefully the evidence or the explanation that the option gives. So in this case, the evidence the option gives is that the option says because it provides a detail that supports the main topic of the paragraph. That's what it's claiming, okay? So you read that carefully. Then you go back to the text and see, is there evidence for what the option just said? In other words, when I read this passage, does this sentence actually provide a detail that supports the main topic of the paragraph? Well, we just said the main topic of the paragraph is describing what a co-working space is. All I have to do is come here and ask myself, does this help with a detail that describes what a co-working space is? No, it doesn't describe a co-working space. So this is out. It says here, it sets up the main topic of the paragraph that follows. Well, let's check out the paragraph that follows. This right here is the paragraph that follows. What most caught my interest, though, was a quotation from someone who described co-working spaces as melting pots of creativity. Now, does this right here, the cost of launching a new co-working business, flow into this right here? What most caught my interest, though, was a quotation from someone who described co-working spaces as melting pots of creativity. No, it doesn't. So once again, the claim that this second option makes is not true. It says because it sets up the main topic of the paragraph that follows. Talking about co-working business doesn't set up the creativity discussed about in the other paragraph. And we can read further. It says, the article refers to a 2012 survey in which 64% of respondents noted that co-working spaces prevented them from completing tasks in a given time. The article goes on to suggest that the most valuable resources provided by co-working spaces are actually the people who use them. All right? This doesn't set that up. This is about something different. Okay. Now, the other two options. It says deleted. Let's go to D first. It says deleted because it repeats information that has been provided in an earlier paragraph. Now, I don't have the earlier paragraph here, or I don't have all of it. But same thing, you would go to the earlier paragraphs just as this recommends. You will go look for evidence. You say to yourself, when you go back to the other paragraph, is the information repeated? Has this information been repeated before in an earlier paragraph? And you'll find when you do that the answer is no, it has not been repeated. At that point, you come to this. It says because it blurs the paragraph's main focus with a loosely related detail. Okay, well, we already agreed that the main focus is what? Co-working spaces. It's a description of co-working spaces. So it blurs it, yes, it makes it less clear. It also says it's a loosely related detail, almost irrelevant. And you're going to see that a lot on questions like this. Questions like this, the trickier ones, would have details that kind of sort of make sense, but are not they don't help you to better understand the one thing that a paragraph is about. They give you some information that is tangentially related. It's in the general area, but it's not about the one thing that the paragraph is about. And this right here perfectly describes that. All right. So I encourage you to take a look at some other SAT questions that are just like this one, that are focus questions, and apply this strategy to them. Apply this strategy of thinking about what is the one thing this paragraph is about and which option actually helps me to better understand it. Sometimes what helps you to better understand the one thing a paragraph is about might be a transition. It might be a transition. All right? Sometimes it might be a group of examples. Okay? Sometimes it might be just an aside. Sometimes an aside that is relevant might help you better understand the one thing that a paragraph is about. So it could come in different forms. But the question is, whatever the right option is, it has to be an option. Whether you choose to keep it or to lose what's being suggested, the eventual decision you make must help you understand or better understand the one thing that a paragraph is about. I also encourage you to ask me any questions in the comment section if any part of this explanation is not clear to you.